Hi, welcome to Polyphonic Press. I'm Jeremy Boyd, and today I'm going to be reviewing the new album by Tokyo Police Club entitled Forcefield. Here we go. So Tokyo Police Club are a Canadian rock band formed in Newmarket, Ontario in 2005. They quickly gained the reputation of a must-see band in the Toronto area. They released their debut EP, A Lesson in Crime, in 2006, and it was a critical success. It allowed them to release a full-length album, Elephant Shell, in 2008, and since then they've been a constant presence in the music industry, and this is their third studio album, and is called Forcefield. And this album starts off with the song Argentina Parts 1, 2, and 3. It's sort of a mini opera with three very distinctive parts. Their first part is sort of a power pop kind of thing with sort of jumping guitars and a constant drum. And the second part kind of slows down completely, where all you hear is the electric piano and the drums kind of playing very softly. It sort of goes up and down, it has a lot of dynamics in it, and it's just kind of flows from there. It's really an ambitious sort of thing to open up a record with an 8-minute sort of opus. If something like this were on an album at all, it's usually reserved for the last track. If you look at something like this on paper, it can kind of turn off the average listener, but if you listen to it, it's far from repetitive, and it kind of keeps you interested because it changes enough that it doesn't feel like it's sort of repeating itself. I'm still not sure if it's the best way to open up an album, but as a standalone track, I really like it. The first single from the album is the song Hot Tonight, and it's much more of a straightforward kind of power pop song. The chorus is very catchy on this song, and I really like the melody that they used for it. The one thing I would say about it is I wish the guitars were a little more present in the mix. They kind of fall by the wayside a little bit. It sounds like they're kind of being buried. This song is driven by the guitar, and they just kind of sound a little weak and sort of like they're not really doing much at all. I realize that the vocals are important, but this song kind of calls for the guitars to be right up front with the vocals, sort of both of them kind of pushing forward and sort of leading the song so the rest of the instruments can follow. But it just kind of sounds like the guitars are secondary and they just kind of blend in with everything else. I think the song is pretty good, but it's just that one thing that's kind of holding it back. The song Toy Guns really gives this song a shot of adrenaline right when it needs to. The few songs that are leading up to this one make it feel like it's dragging on a little bit, and this kind of just injects some energy into it. I really like the lyrical content of this song. It's kind of looking at how weird it is that we allow kids to play with guns, but real guns are such a dangerous thing, and sort of the paradox that kind of goes along with that. It's a social commentary on our culture, and it kind of draws some lines and starts a really important discussion. The song Through the Wire is another song on this album that I really like. The ascending chord progression that you hear in the verse is something that I've always been a fan of, and it's used really effectively here. I also really like the muted strums that you hear on the guitar. They really kind of complement the vocals pretty well. The one thing I didn't really like about this song is the electric drums that you hear in the bridge. They really kind of took away from the overall aesthetic of the song that had been established leading up to it. It was a sudden and drastic change that really kind of hurt the song more than it helped. And the album ends with the song Feel the Effect, which sounds like it was directly lifted from the 80s sort of new wave era. It kind of ends the album somewhat awkwardly. It kind of doesn't feel like it's the end of the album. This song really isn't that memorable. The instruments don't really sound like it's doing anything interesting, and the vocals kind of sound like they're pretty far removed from the actual words that are being said. If they had maybe rearranged the track listing on this album and sort of put it towards the middle of the album and chose a different song to end the album on, I think it would have been a lot stronger. Because you want to end the album on a strong note. You don't want to just sort of fade away and sort of leave the listener hanging. You definitely want to leave them wanting more. The production on this album is pretty polished and well put together, and sometimes it works, and more often than not it doesn't. It doesn't really seem to fit these songs. These songs were well written, and I think they kind of call for a production that's a little more subtle, a little less polished, and sort of just kind of setting up the band and going. I like the songs on this album, and the lyrics are really interesting, but there were more than a few weak spots that I just can't ignore, so I'm going to give this album a 6 out of 10. So anyway, that's what I thought about the album. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you'd like to suggest an album for me to review, please leave that in the comments as well. Be sure to subscribe so you know when I post a new video, and you can check us out on Twitter and Facebook. That's about it. Take it easy.